Hey guys, it's me, Gavin, and this is the first real episode of the Backlog Bunker, because instead of talking about games I played like 2 years ago, we're finally talking about what I did this week specifically, which means this episode will be way shorter than all the other ones. You don't have to sit here for an hour listening to me yap about fucking why I hate DMC 1, or why Metal Gear Solid 4 is awful and everyone who likes it is stupid. But let's just get right into it with what's probably the thing I did the most this week, which was play Devil May Cry 5. And you might be wondering, Gavin, that sounds kind of weird. Didn't you already talk about the entire Devil May Cry series like 5 episodes ago? And the answer is yes, but that was me playing through all the games for the first time, because what I've done this week is, I bought Special Edition a while back, but originally I had played DMC5 on PC, because that's what I had, but now that I have a PlayStation 5 for Special Edition and various other games that I also want physically, I have Special Edition now, and so I was just replaying through that, trying to get through all the quickest achievements, because I'm just gonna try and 100% it as fast as I can, because I already spent like 120 hours on the game on PC. I don't need to spend another 120 just because I have the game on physical. So, yeah, I was just going through the achievements to try and get all the ones I could do the quickest. So I think in 25 hours, or that's how much PlayStation tells me, but in about 25 hours, I got through 44 of them, 44 or 42, something like that. And the only ones I really have left are using Dr. Faust, which is easy because I'm gonna use Red Hot Night a bunch, so that one's not, I'm not worried about that one. It's clear a bunch of difficulties because for Special Edition, I did my first playthrough as Virgil on DMD because, you know, at this point I know how to play the game. I 100%ed it on PC. I think it's fair for me to hop right into DMD with Virgil, because, you know, it's Virgil, so I only unlocked D&D that fast because I just hopped into Devil Hunter, cleared Urizen because it's Virgil, of course I can, and then did it again on Son of Sparta. So I just went my entire first playthrough, well, essentially it was my first playthrough on Special Edition playing as Virgil, and it was nice because, like, you know, I like Virgil. He's probably my favorite character to play in DMC5. Dante's very close, because I like the way Quadruple S works more than I do Virgil's Sin Double Trigger. Because Virgil's Sin Double Trigger, it feels like I'm always wasting a resource, because Virgil kind of has to Quadruple S in the same way that Dante does, but with Virgil it's not like, oh, you have to be in a Triple S rank, and then your Sin DT doesn't go down whenever you pop it for the first time, as long as you unpop it again. Because Virgil's Sin DT is basically just a DT, so I never have to, like, worry about running out of DT from just using it for attacks. I just switch over to Beowulf and then charge up like a level 3 Rising Dragon or whatever, and then pop Sin DT and that melts health. So with Virgil, Quadruple S isn't really a thing. I also don't find it all that interesting because Virgil has a lot of strong attacks that I can just pop DT for a second for, and then even if somehow I mess up the essentially what's Quadruple S for Virgil, Virgil can just turn off his Sin DT whenever he wants, so it's not like an execution barrier. God forbid I have it on for like half a second longer, and I just use the rest of my double trigger to recharge it. Whereas with Dante, if you mess up Quadruple S, you're fucked, because you have to be able to turn it off, or else you're gonna end up having to waste your entire Sin DT gauge. And it's just more interesting with Dante, because you have to get up to a Triple S to be able to use it in the first place, and then you have to, you know, make the use of your limited Sin DT attacks, and then be able to unpop it, and then charge it again, and then, you know, keep that cycle going. It gives you more to think about when you're playing as Dante, which is why Dante's very close second for me in terms of, like, actually playing the character. Because with Virgil, I don't even use Quadruple S all that often with him, because it's far more valuable to use his super moves, especially Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth on bosses is insane. It does too much damage, quite frankly, and it's weird that Hell on Earth is the only one that makes you invincible. Like, I get that it's range limited, or, well, yeah, it's range limited, and the closer you are, the more damage it does, so it would be really weird to have to get the player to get into their face to be able to use the super move, only to have them take damage for it, and then lose all their concentration. But at the same time, I think that it should just be the other way around. Make Hell on Earth weaker if it's going to be invincible, and then also make the other two super moves invincible on startup. I think Deep Stinger might also be invincible. I've never actually gotten hit when charging it, because it charges up pretty fast, but Judgment Cut End, I'm always getting fucked over during, because despite the fact that I use it from far longer ranges, because I can just do that with Judgment Cut End, that's the one I always end up getting hit during. So I think it's kind of fucked up. But despite that, it's not even my biggest problem with what I did this week, because, like I said, I did my first playthrough on DMD, and, like I said, I like playing Virgil, but it still wasn't all that fun, because I still think DMD is the worst game mode in DMC 5, and really the rest of the DMC games, but 5 is the only one that I actually bothered to do DMD in, so really, like, I can only talk about that one. Because the thing with DMD is that it doesn't really ask for higher execution from you. Because Son of Sparta is the perfect difficulty in DMC5. It remixes the enemies, because now that they know you know how to fight all of them, they can throw them at you in whatever order they damn well please. And they have slightly more health, so you have to, you know, put a little bit more work into killing them efficiently. That's it. That's all it really needs to be. If it wants to do another difficulty past that, they should have just done another remix. I don't even know about increasing the health again. Make that first encounter with the fucking ants, I forget what their name is, Ampusas. Make that first encounter with the Ampusas like a Fury or something. I don't know, maybe probably not that, because Furies suck, but, you know, just remix it more, and take out those stupid fucking cutscenes, because isn't it really weird how Heaven and Hell is the only difficulty where the cutscenes just get completely removed, and all the fucking camera pans over to the tutorial shit? Isn't that bizarre? Because I assume the thought process is that on Heaven and Hell, you've already played the game, so they don't need to, you know, waste your time with cutscenes and cinematics and what the fuck ever, and tutorialization. But why doesn't that apply to every cutscene, or every cinematic, and everything that isn't on Devil Hunter? Because you literally cannot play on Son of Sparta, or DMD, or Heaven and Hell, or Hell and Hell, or... actually, no, I think Legendary Dark Knight is unlocked the special edition. But, I tried to play on Legendary Dark Knight first, but too many enemies, not enough skills, so I just decided to play on DMD so I could fill up my red orbs first. But, yeah, same thing. If you know that the player's not going to be even able to do the other missions without having played the game first, why is Heaven and Hell the only one where they take the cutscenes out? It's just, I've gotten so used to spamming the start button anytime I get my control taken away from me in the game, to the point where it started happening to me in other games that I played. Particularly, something else I played was Mario Party 5, and I had to stop myself from spamming start every time the camera was doing something, because I'm just so used to having that be in DMC5, where it's just, oh my god, skip, oh my god, skip, oh my god, skip, and it's never instant. It's always just like a few seconds too late for it to not, you know, grind on me. But whatever the case may be, the only thing I really want to talk about was DMD, because for the most part, the rest of my playing of DMC5 again was just me playing DMC5 again. Like I said, I 100%ed the game, and it wasn't all that long ago, so I still know how to play the game, and doing everything else is pretty easy. I kind of wish that beating the game on higher difficulties got you the achievements for lower difficulties, because I don't really see the point in having to do Human if I've already done Devil Hunter and Son of Sparta and DMD. And replaying the game, I'm realizing, okay, and I kind of always knew how fucked up the red orbs were, because they'll ask you for 3 million per character just to be able to max out their skills, which is one of the other achievements that I'm missing. And I just think it's kind of fucked up, because at this point, like I said, I've done most of everything I even needed to do, and I have every skill for every character except for the EX provocations. So the only thing that I'm missing is 12 million orbs, which, assuming the footage that I use for, you know, the background here is the last gameplay that I did, I'm still missing a lot of that. And now granted, I haven't done the Bloody Palace yet, because I was waiting to do DMD first. Or no, it wasn't DMD, because I did that first. There's something else I think it was just achievement hunting, and then I said I was gonna take a break. So I still want to get, oh no, that's what it was, because I did DMD with Virgil, like I said, but I didn't do it with the base roster. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to get through DMD as them first, so I can unlock the super characters, and then just play through their Bloody Palaces with the super characters to fast track my way to 2.5 million orbs, because every Bloody Palace run I believe is 2.5 million, which means that for all 4 characters, I'll have 10 million, and then only need 2 million more to be able to get whoever's EX provocation I get last, and that I can get from just doing the other difficulties. So I'm not that worried about that part. And for anyone who's like, what, you're using the super characters of Bloody Palace? That's kind of cheating and stuff. To that I say, fuck you, no it isn't, because I already played the game. I already did the Bloody Palace. Not that I even need to do the Bloody Palace of the Super V, because V is like the most baby mode character in the entire game. Literally baby's first action game. I'm pretty sure I said this on the Backlog bunker itself. I might not have, because that was a long time ago, and it was also a long Backlog bunker. But V is such an easy character. I do not need to do the Bloody Palace with him as a super character. I've never even seen Super V. Does he just get to keep all of his DT? Does Nightmare stay out the entire time? I'll never know, because I'll never need it. I'm pretty sure, because, again, even if the footage that I use is the most recent playthrough that I did for this, I think the last achievement that I need to get was the secret missions. Or yeah, because I did most of the secret missions with Virgil first, and then I had to go back and do them with the other characters because the achievement only pops if you do it with Dante, Nero, and V. And so I went back to like mission, 9 or whatever to get the secret missions that I hadn't done with other characters. Because with Virgil, like, because there are some secret missions you need Nightmare for, but on Virgil's playthrough, he just already has the walls broken, so I didn't need to do any of the bullshit. But yeah, I still have to go back and do them with V. And then when I went back and did them, I was still getting like triple S ranks for doing nothing, because you can spend so much of the game doing nothing, even on like mission 14, which is pretty annoying because you start with only one of your familiars, and God forbid anyone who starts with Nightmare. But I was doing like, what's his face? Behemoth with just Shadow, and making Shadow go super mode, and then just having him assault Behemoth was really easy, because for the most part, Behemoth can't really hit Shadow, and even when he does, like, just wait a few seconds and then he'll be back, and the entire time, if he could just stand back and charge DT, so he can just keep using the super mode, charging DT, taunting, that over and over and over again, until whatever you need to happen happens. And so, point being, V is just so easy, that's not gonna need to do... It's not like I need his super character to be able to do the Bloody Palace. Same goes for Virgil, because I could do his Bloody Palace without a super character. But I did, like I said, I did DMD first with him anyway, so I will be using it. And then for Nero and Dante, I did both of those, like I said, in my original playthrough, so I'm not worried. I think I'm just going to do it to get him over with. If I want to go back to the Bloody Palace to get higher scores later, I can always do that, because now I have the game physically, and I don't need to worry about installing it. Not that I uninstalled it for my PC anyway, because I want to use mods, but I haven't really done that yet, and maybe that'll be a future episode of the Backlog Bunker. But for now, I'm just playing through DMC5 again. I'll probably end up talking about it on a far later episode, because like I said, now I'm taking a break from it, since I just blitzed through 44 of the achievements first. But whenever I get back to it, I'll probably end up talking about it again, because those will be my new and updated and revised thoughts about DMC5, and I'll probably have played Legendary Dark Knight by then, so that'll be another one. And then for the next thing I want to talk about, it's Terraria, because I didn't talk about Terraria on the original Backlog Bunker, because I played Terraria years and years and years ago, like 2016. I played it on the Xbox 360, and I played it for like 100-something hours. I'll never know, because I don't think the Xbox 360 checked your hours like that, and even if it did, I probably never checked. So, but it was probably at least 100 hours, is what I'm gonna say. And then I just stopped playing at some point because they weren't really updating the 360 version, and I didn't know what to do past the Wall of Flesh. So, for the most part, I just sort of left that game to die, and then eventually, I was like, oh, I want to get back into Terraria, and so I played it on Switch. And I know that I said this episode was about things I did this week. I'm just getting a little bit of background, because I played Terraria for a long time, and specifically getting back into Terraria is what this week is about. Or not this week, but like, this segment. So, I eventually played it on Switch, and I played that for like 100-something hours there. And that one I do know, because the Switch does track your hours. And so, that was also like 100-something hours. But then eventually I got tired of that because playing Terraria on controller isn't really all that fun. And so that I also ended up not playing past a certain point. And then I finally got it on PC during COVID, and I played that with some friends, and it was awesome, because I'd never played Terraria with friends, and having people be different classes is surprisingly really awesome, especially when yours truly was the ranger, and I got to sit back and hold the shoot button the entire time, and it was fun. But then that brings me to now, because after having played that playthrough with friends, and then doing a little bit of my own playthrough, just to, beat the game and get all the achievements and whatnot, I stopped playing Terraria for a long time. I think before this week, I hadn't played it probably since I was in high school. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, I'll get back to it just to start up another world. It'll be fun. And then I never ended up doing it. But then Tmod Loader became a thing. It became a way bigger thing than it used to be. And I finally figured that if I was going to replay Terraria eventually, it would be a modded playthrough. Because why not, right? I already know the game pretty well, considering I did a shit ton of research for both my own playthrough and the playthrough with my friends to get, like, pylons and shit. So, and that's the other thing, they kept updating the game, so I kept having to find out new things about it to be able to do everything I wanted to do. And so, eventually, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I know the game itself well enough that I should just do a modded playthrough, because, like, the thorium mod looks interesting. It'll really shake up the game, which brings me to what I played this week, and you've probably noticed at this point that the footage that I'm using for Terraria isn't all that interesting. It's mostly me mining, and, moving back and forth, and mining, and moving back and forth, and probably selling a few things, and more mining. And that's the part of Terraria that I really don't like, because I've always known that the beginning of Terraria is very, very slow. Your movement speed is awful until you find, like a boot relic. Your jump height is nothing until you get hooks to be able to augment that. Mining is slow because you don't have a lot of materials, so your pickaxe kind of fucking sucks. Combat is awful because starting the game out, the only class you can really do is melee, because you don't have anything to summon with, and even if you did, they would suck dick. You don't have anything to use magic with, and even if you did, it would suck dick and you'd have no mana. You don't have anything to use range with, because even if you did, it'd be a fucking bow, and bows suck until later in the game. And you don't have any guns yet, and if you don't find any ammo, you won't get any guns until the gunsmith comes by. So you won't be able to do anything with that either. And then even with the Thorium mod, the new classes they add are just kind of like the other classes, but slightly different. The healer is just melee, but you heal yourself, and that one's more for like multiplayer games, which is why I think I should maybe do a Thorium playthrough with friends, as opposed to doing it on my own, because things like the healer or the bard class are fucking useless without other people. But then even then, the bard class is kind of just magic, but different, because, at least as far as I know, because right now I only have like a fucking flute or something, and it does damage, and it takes up a resource that recharges, and I'm like, damn, this is kind of just magic. So, even then, that's kind of shit. And the thrower class is a thing that kind of already existed in Terraria, it just wasn't a whole class before. So, the game heavily, heavily pushes you towards melee at the very beginning, and then later on you get more options to really find out what you want to do with your gameplay. But at the beginning, you have shitty-ass swords and shitty-ass weapons and no movement, and you're dying constantly, assuming you're on a high enough difficulty. If you're on, like, easy, then it won't be a huge deal. But everything's constantly taking so long. Like, I recorded an hour of footage for this Backlog bunker, and I played it for, like, 4 hours before that, and I still have, like, nothing. I've got a few medals and a few relics. I just got the boots in the footage that I did for this episode, so imagine how slow I was moving the entire time before that. And Terraria, like I said, I've always known the beginning of Terraria is slow, but it's always when I'm going through it that it feels the worst, because if you don't find anything good or exciting to use, and you don't find a lot of medals to be able to increase your arsenal early on, it's just so much waiting. Everything takes so much longer than you think it would, and then it really should, because I'm not saying the game should, like, augment itself so that you're finding a relic in every fucking chest you come across, but maybe they should, actually, because there are too many chests where it's like, hey, here's some money, and a fucking book of vine collecting, and, like, I don't need books of vine collecting. There are ropes in every fucking pot in this entire game. I don't think I need to collect the vines to make rope out of, and even if I didn't, I could also use cobwebs. Which isn't to mention the fact that I really don't need that much rope, because rope falls off in use heavily once you get a hook shot, and then even more heavily once you start learning how to fly. So, ropes in general are not something that I need a relic to keep for the entire rest of the game with me. I'm gonna sell that shit the second I get anything to learn how to fly. I'm thinking about selling it now. The only reason I don't is that I'm pretty sure it has stat modifiers on it, which stats are something else I've never been a huge fan of in Terraria, but early in the game I don't have like any relics to equip anyway, so why not, I guess. But the point in general is just that the beginning of Terraria is a little too slow, and even world exploration is just a little bit too tedious to do early in the game, especially in a large world, because there's really no reason to make a smaller or medium world. You're just kind of fucking yourself over if you do that. And so in a large world, you're going to be trekking a very long time both sides of the map to be able to, find the ocean and know what you're looking for on the map. But for the most part, you come across the Corruption or the Crimson, depending on where your world is, and you're kind of fucked because they're just gonna melt your health before you even get to the beach. If you're caught in a snowstorm, you're also fucked. If you happen to fall into a cave in the wrong biome, like the jungle, you're also fucked. My plan right now is to mine a bunch of materials so I can get a full set of gold armor, or tungsten. I forgot which one's stronger. I think it's gold, but whichever one it is, I want to get a full set of the strongest armor, and then I'm going to go find the fisherman or the angler, and then just do a bunch of angler quests until I can get something good from those chests. Because chest grinding is probably the best way to get new stuff in Terraria, because there's all kinds of wacky things in there. Though I think they did rebalance the chests in one of the patches, so it actually might not be as good anymore. But I sure hope that isn't the case, because like I said, chests are the one consistent way to get cool stuff. And if they took that out, then this next playthrough of Terraria might be a little bit more short-lived than I originally intended it to be. Or just do it with friends, like I said, because that would definitely make the beginning go much faster if we could share resources and explore the world 4 times as fast. But for now, it's definitely a slow-going process, and I'll probably end up talking about it on the next Backlog Bunker, because like I said, we're going to be here for a while, but it would also not surprise me if I ended up not talking about it on the next Backlog Bunker, because, like I said, before the hour of footage that I recorded for this one, I recorded like 4 hours, or I didn't even record that, but I did like 4 hours of gameplay the week before when I was on break, and so there's a good chance that there are multiple hours where nothing much happens and I end up not talking about anything, or I just don't end up playing the game because I don't have 4 hours to dedicate to just Terraria. So there will be updates, but maybe not. Then the last game I want to talk about is kind of a short one, because despite the fact that it was for a stream, it was something that I did this week, and so I feel it's important to talk about, because I do have thoughts. I played Mario Party 5 with some friends, and it's definitely an interesting experience, because if you'll recall from a previous Backlog Bunker, I did say that Mario Party 6 was the only good Mario Party, but I clarified that I hadn't really played 5 all that much, or 8, but that's, you know, that's a longer process, considering I don't have in-person friends to be able to play the motion control minigames with. So that'll come at a later date, but for now, just going through other Mario parties I hadn't really gotten into before. 5 was the only one that I hadn't really played that I had the opportunity to play. I guess Jamboree now too, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I played 5, and it's definitely one of the better, not good Mario parties, because the scale is very much because 6 is the only good Mario Party game, but then outside of 6, if we want to split them into the good ones and the bad ones would be like 1, 2, 9, and 10 for obvious reasons, you know, things like that. But then on the higher scale, on the higher side of the scale, we'd have like 7, and I think just 7, but I guess 3 too. 3's close. If I had to put it between the two, I'd say 3 is definitely better than it is bad, so it's 7 and 3, let's say that. And 5 definitely slots into the better side of that. It's with 7 and 3. Probably better than 3, but I'm not sure if it's better than 7. Because 5, and I'm not just saying this because I lost, by the way. I am mad that I lost, don't get me wrong. I am fucking pissed that I lost. I am extremely incensed by that. But that's not the reason that I'm saying 5's a bad Mario Party. It's because, again, it's not even really a bad Mario Party. It's just not really a good one. And the reason I say that is because everything in 5 revolves around orbs, and the way orbs work is super fucking weird. Things like chance time and duels are put in orbs. Now, there are still dual spaces on the board. Well, I say dual spaces, it might just be dual space, I don't remember seeing the one. I played on the Pirate Cove or whatever, and the only other duels that I saw, aside from that one space, were from an orb. And I thought that was kind of weird, because it's like, oh yeah, use the orb to put a dual space down on the board, and it's like, well, why would I put a dual space down on the board to wait for someone else to maybe hit later, as opposed to just letting me land on a dual space? Like, the whole point. Or there's using orbs on yourself, which is, it's a really interesting concept. I like the idea of any orb in the game you could either use on yourself or on a space. I like that. But the way it's implemented is very, very strange, because they don't always explain how using an orb on yourself works. Because using, like, a poison mushroom, for example, you can use a poison mushroom on yourself and it'll lower your own roll, obviously. Then there are other orbs where it's like, oh, take coins away from whoever lands on this space. And so you think about that, and does that mean that if you use the orb on yourself, it would take coins away from you? Or does it mean that it'll just automatically activate it to take coins from everyone else in the game? And I feel like intuition has told me, a Mario Party player, how these things work most often, but to other people, it's very, very misleading. And I remember a specific instance, there was a Chain Chomp orb where it was like, oh, take coins and stars away from whoever lands on this. Or no, sorry, it was use this to be able to take coins and stars away from people. And it was the other way around, actually. Using it on yourself was fairly straightforward. It's like, oh, use it on yourself, and then you get to just take orbs and stars away from whoever you use it on, or whoever you choose afterwards. But my friend had chosen, for some ungodly reason, to put it on a space. I don't know why, but she did. And so, and in the moment, I was like, oh, she must understand something that I didn't. Or she must have a different interpretation of it that I didn't, which is that if someone lands on it, then whoever lands on it will get their coins or stars taken away. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. You could either use it on yourself to guarantee yourself the coins or stars now, or you could put the space down and then just let multiple people land on it, and you would always get coins or stars whenever anyone landed on it. And then in a 20-turn game, because this is pretty early on, in a 20-turn game, that might happen pretty frequently. So that's actually a pretty good idea for the long run, but that is not how it works, because I ended up landing on it, and I was initially pretty pissed until I realized that landing on it is the same as using the orb on yourself, so I got to steal coins and stars from someone. Well, I didn't steal stars, I didn't have enough money, but I did steal coins, and that felt bizarre to me, because the wording itself was not really explained enough to really understand that that's what that meant. Now granted, there were a couple of things this friend did during the playthrough that were fucking stupid, and so they might have just not understood anything that was going on in Mario Party 5, but even I was confused by the wording, and so I'm not gonna say it was entirely her being stupid, but it was a very fucked up game. And it might have just been the board that we played on, but the board itself also wasn't very exciting in 5, so I might need to do a little bit more experimentation, because it might be unfair for me to say that 5 is a bad one when I haven't even played on all 5's boards, which I've done for almost every other Mario Party, and even the ones that I haven't done every single board, I've done most of the boards, so it's fair for me to speak more on those. But with 5, I've only ever done the one board, and so maybe I just need to experiment with it more to be able to know for sure if it's a good Mario Party or not. But for now, I'm gonna say it's worse than 7, even though 7 does things that piss me off a lot. I fucking hate how duels work in 7, but even despite all that, at least the rest of what happens in the game is pretty similar enough to 6, except for the duels, that I might want to look into getting a mod for 7 that makes the duels normal, because that is generally the part about 7 that pisses me off the most. Duels are so good in Mario Party 6 that it annoys me that 7 ruins them. But again, for 5, I might just need to play it more to really know what I'm talking about. But for now, 5 is not a good Mario Party. It's still just 6. And for as long as this series goes, and the more I play Mario Party, I doubt that will ever change. But hey, maybe Jamboree is good, I doubt it, but here's hoping, right? And before we get into the weekly topic, there is one game that I want to talk about that isn't necessarily a game that I played this week, it's a game that I made this week. Because I have a class in game design, and I'm making a game for that class. Not that you'll get any footage for it, mind you. I probably just have more DMC5 footage up right now to use as filler, or Mario Party, whichever one. But you're never seeing that game for as long as you people live, unless I end up perfecting it somehow. But yeah, game development's hard. Crazy thing, right? But who knew? But game development's hard. So that's gonna be a project that takes me a while to work on, and I might not do all that well in the class. But considering the fact that they haven't even fleshed out the game design minor yet, that might not matter to me all that much. So whatever the case might be, I am making my own game, and whenever I eventually get to making games properly, because even if I'm doing poorly now, it's what I want to do with my life, so that will be where I end up. And I expect this series to help me with fleshing out exactly what I know or what I like about games, because I have the same philosophy with I guess I'm going to have the same philosophy with games as I do with my YouTube channel, which is that I don't really want to make content that I myself wouldn't enjoy. So you'll never see me making a MOBA or anything crazy like that. I will be making RPGs and platformers and RPGs and mostly RPGs because I love RPGs, except for I hate RPGs. But my RPGs will be different because mine will be good. Except for all the ones that are already good. But we don't talk about those on this series. Except for Xenoblade. Actually, no, I don't think I talked about Xenoblade in this series. And I don't think I will be talking about Xenoblade, but that's for a reason that we'll get to eventually. Not anytime soon, but eventually. Hopefully by next summer, but considering my current timescale of videos, which is to say, none, or it should be more, but I haven't. So, point being, to make a long story short, I am making a game, and I will probably update some of my thoughts on that throughout the series, because why not, right? It's a game I played this week, since I did playtest my own stuff. And I think it would be kind of hypocritical if I was making a game and making a weekly series talking about other people's games and how much I don't like them or what they're doing wrong, just to be able to come back here and be like, or just to be able to go back to my own computer and be like, okay, now how do I get targeting to work? why does the game look so ugly? And yeah, all that fun stuff. But that's a long process that may or may, again, like Terraria, it may or may not even get updates every week. So don't hold your breath for that one, but I just thought I'd make it known because, again, this is what I want to do with my life. Either that or this. I want to get paid for doing this, because I like talking about video games, and if I can't make them, I damn well better be able to talk about them, because if there's anything that I like as much as playing games, it's talking about them. So that's why this series even exists in the first place. And then as for the weekly topic, I'm kind of kicking myself for having taken a break. I mean, I'm glad that I did, because, obviously, but I'm kind of kicking myself for having taken a break, because this weekly topic is now a week old, but the weekly topic this week is how to talk about video games online. And I don't mean the topic, how to talk about video games online. I clearly already know how to do that. I'm talking about Noodle's video, how to or not to talk about video games online, which is essentially just a video about Egoraptor's Zelda sequelitis. And as much as I would love to go over the entire fucking video and all of my problems with it, because I think it's a horrible, awful, stupid, bad video, I'm actually not going to do that, because I already did that on a different channel with some friends of mine on a Discord. So I will end up linking to that in the description, and probably putting a card up now if I remember. So if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts about the entire video, then you can go watch that. Like I said, I will link it. You can go find it for yourself if you're interested. But I don't want to talk about the entire video here, because A, we don't have time for that, and B, I already did it on a different video, so I don't really have the energy for that. What I'll talk about instead is a specific thing from that video that annoyed me and that I feel like is pertinent to this series, so I wanted to mention it, which was a specific point near the end where Noodle was talking about, like, how one of the biggest problems with Aaron's sequelitis video is that he hasn't extended Olive Branch to people who like Ocarina of Time, and he doesn't do enough to, like, give those people things to suckle on for the video, for them to latch onto, despite the fact that they're his target audience. But I don't really understand that, because shouldn't it work in the opposite way? The video creator makes the video before the reaction, obviously. You can't make a video responding to people who don't know what the hell you're doing. So it's not really Aaron's responsibility to extend an olive branch out to people who he doesn't know exists. For all he knew, when he put out the sequelitis video, people would only agree with him. Obviously, that's not what happened, and you could even say it's likely that that wasn't going to happen, because people love Ocarina of Time. But if you look at the statistics of the video, it has a lot of views and a very high like-to-dislike ratio, so evidently, people do like the sequelitis. It was just a wider internet thing at large that people don't like the video. And so, it makes you wonder, why is it Aaron's responsibility to extend an olive branch out to these people, when that's not what his video is about? Aaron's video is the bad things about Ocarina of Time, the things that he doesn't like about Ocarina of Time, the things that he thinks makes it a bad sequel. Why the fuck would he talk about the good things about the game when that's not what he's interested in? He acknowledges that there are good things in the game, he even does it in the video, which Noodle himself points out. But I guess it wasn't enough for Noodle, because despite the fact that Noodle says, oh, it's not like Aaron had to, like, suck the game's dick or anything, evidently, it's kind of what it seems like he wanted, because Aaron did praise things in Ocarina of Time, that's just not what the video at large was about, and so I guess he didn't extend enough of an olive branch, even though that wasn't his responsibility in the first place, and he still did it. So why is it not on the audience's responsibility to extend an olive branch out to Aaron? If you love Ocarina of Time, why don't you try to accept the viewpoint of someone who doesn't like it? Why is it the person who doesn't like it responsibility to go, oh no, I understand there are good things about it. Why is it not the audience who has to go, I understand there are bad things about it, you know? To answer the original question, which was, how do you talk about video games online? I feel like the answer is not any of the fucking bullshit Noodle was talking about. I feel like the simple answer is to do it truthfully. As long as whatever you're talking about is what you honestly believe, then you'll never have any qualms about talking about video games online, or any piece of media for that matter, because as long as it's your truth, it's what you think, and people are only going to be able to know what you think. If you lie, then obviously there will be problems, because people misinterpret you when you're not telling them what you think. Aaron should not have to censor himself and pull himself back to be able to cater to people, when it's far, far, far more important for him to just be honest about what he thinks about the game. And if he thinks that the sliding ice death puzzles are really that hard, then that's his truth. He can be wrong and stupid about it, obviously, but that's honestly what he thinks about the game. What's he gonna not say that? Is he going to lie to us and tell us that he liked that part of the game? That's worse. I believe that that's worse for discussion online, is when people lie about things, because that's also a problem with people talking about, like, the woke or whatever in video games now. Like, I know the term grifter gets thrown around a lot, in some cases unfairly, but in a lot of cases, it does kind of fit, because there are people who will just lie about what they think about a certain thing to either for money or attention, who really knows, honestly, but the point being is that people will just lie about what they're mad about, and talk about things that are completely unrelated, because again, for who knows what reason, but again, the bottom line is that the problem is that they're lying. If they were just truthful, then at least people would be able to argue with and know what the hell the problem is, but no one can ever determine what the problem is because everyone will just lie about it. And to make a long story short, like I said, the important thing is just to be honest with what you think about video games. All of what Noodle said in that entire video is bullshit. Again, if you want my in-depth thoughts, go to that video I have linked. But the truth of the matter is really just to be honest about what you think. This entire series, me doing the Backlog Bunker, is me being honest and candid about what I think about whatever games I played this week. I don't want to, cause like I'm on make video essays. That's my main content right now. At least that's what I consider it to be. And so those are, you know, scripted instances of me talking about things. Those are still honest, mind you, but even those will be skewed in perspective because things like my Doom video is an hour of things that I don't like about Doom Eternal when that's a game that I like. And so if I wanted to just give my thoughts as they are about the game without having to talk about them in a specific format that flows nicely and is funny and everything that I want to do with my video essays, then that's what this series is for. And this is what I do on my streams because trust me, if you want to know what I think about Sonic Heroes, you can watch those streams and you'll get a pretty clear idea. But this entire series is me trying to stand by that perspective that you should just be honest about what you think. And you shouldn't go, oh, but here are the good things though, even if you don't want to talk about them. Because I don't want to talk about the good things about DMC1. I don't care. I know people like that game, but I don't give a shit. I recently reached out to Sega for a review copy of Sonic X Shadow, and I didn't get a response back because, I mean, but even if I did, I don't know if I'd want to do something like, I'm not going to say that Fodl, or Games Cage for those not in the know, I'm not going to say that he's just a positivity machine so he can get stuff, but if I ever even kind of become a little bit like that for the Sonic franchise, know that I've been taken over by a body snatcher, because I love Sonic the Hedgehog, favorite franchise of all time. If you ever hear me not saying anything bad about it, know that my love has clearly dissipated, because I only talk about the things that I hate and the things that I love, because being honest is acknowledging when the things that you love are bad. If you don't acknowledge that, then you're not being honest. You're not betraying your favorite franchise just because you say something bad about it. That's just you being a human, and that's what I think is most important. So to make a long story short, talk about the things that you think that you want to talk about, and if you're ever not honest, then just be honest, because it's way more easy to just say the things you think than trying to find a loophole and think around the things that you think, because you're just trying to trick yourself at that point, and that's not cool. So don't. And that's to talk about video games online, which I'll do next week on the next episode of the Backlog Bunker. So for now, get out of here. Bye.